First of all, how bad was the pandemic for you, and how is it all looking right now?
Thank you very much. In fact, the pandemic was unprecedented, and none of us were prepared for that when the lockdown happened on March 24th. But recovered very quickly. Government of India very proactively allowed all the essential production goods like ours allowed to open within a week's time. So we opened all our factories within 30 days. By April 30th, all our factories across the country were open and working fine. And post that, the recovery has been fantastic because consumer goods is a daily needs. People, even though they are at home, the usage is, especially which the products which are on health and hygiene platform, did extremely well. And we are about 8% better than the pre-COVID levels.
Oh, so but where? I mean, whereabouts? I mean, I think you're doing very well in rural areas. Consumer spending is just bouncing back quicker. Are you seeing evidence of that?
Yeah, I see that because about 40% of our business, which used to come from rural India, now about 45% is coming from rural India. And cash flow into the rural market by government also is very, very high. I've never seen this kind of liquidity availability in rural India in the last 10, 12 years. And government has done a lot in putting the money in the accounts of, in the rural India. And also the first time post-independence, government has given free food grains right from March till November. So that was taken care for the rural Indians. And the rest of the money came for non-food related items like consumer goods. And we are seeing first-time users of many of our products. As we say that small stock keeping units like 5 rupee, 10 rupee, 20 rupees is about 25% of our business now. That clearly indicates that most of the rural Indians, like in suburban rural India, they are picking up smaller SKUs. That's the indication that I'm getting it very clearly.
Well, how is the pandemic, though, overall, in a more holistic way, changed the way you run your business?
Lots of things have changed. I think the new normal, some of them are going to stay. Being in consumer goods, always we used to be in the marketplace and visiting the factories, visiting the sales offices, and all over the country we used to, travel. The first thing is that none of us we have traveled in the last 9 months. That's the big change that is going to stay. And most of the meetings are happening on virtual things, and there's a lot of cost reduction there. The second one, which I see is that earlier our sales used to be morning 9 o'clock till 6 o'clock. Now that has changed from morning 6 o'clock to 10 o'clock. Because the retailer opens the store for the consumers, our salespeople have started giving the distribution first thing in the morning so that there's no contact between the consumer who are going to buy the stock from the retail outlets and the distribution. So a lot of things have changed. Some of them are going to stay for good, and some are there's no sales meetings are happening, person-to-person meetings are not happening, and that body language you're not able to see it, and that extra motivation what you could do otherwise is not happening. To that extent, I think that we got back once the normalcy sets in.
So cut back once we get to normal. Just talk us through, I guess, your staffing levels here too, because you've talked about how hours have changed and how the pandemic has changed your business. But have you had to have any job cuts or lay people off, particularly during the lockdown period?
No, not at all. In fact, we gave the normal increment and the incentive also because the company, when it was doing 8% plus pre-COVID levels, naturally there's no reason for us to cut salaries or the jobs. And also the volume terms, when you have grown 8%, that much extra production we needed. And all the factories are working at 100% levels. Not only for us, for most of the consumer goods, they're back into 100% production levels. So there is no cut at factory levels, and absolutely there's no cut at sales levels also. It's only the timing-wise, like we have changed to adjust to less contact at the marketplace. And rural, we have spread our reach up to now 5,000 population village we are covering now. Earlier it used to be 10,000 village population we used to cover, but now we have gone up to 5,000. That means that our direct coverage is almost 1 million retail outlets month on month, which has helped us to get that extra sales from rural India.
So what about expansion plans then, perhaps, or any M&As on the horizon?
No, at this point in time, we are consolidating with all the businesses in which we are, and we just opened one of our factories in Pithampur in central India to cater to the extra demand. We opened one factory on July 2nd during the COVID levels because production was a constraint for us. One of our product, fast-growing product of dishwasher product, so that we opened a factory. But otherwise, we are consolidating during this pandemic, and probably once everything settled down, we look for any other progressive company, we look for M&A opportunities.
I wanted to ask you as well about potential spend on advertising and I guess what your planning looks like for 2021.
In fact, the first quarter, like everybody, we reduced on advertising by about 30%. But the second quarter, we are up by about 8% on advertising. And in the third quarter, we are about 20% up on advertising spend. So overall, it's about 14.5%, both advertising and sales promotion, which is probably 2 percentage points higher than the industry average.
All right, so where'd you go from here? This is the thing, you know, you've taken money, you've taken costs out of the business, you probably rejigged your supply chains, and how have they kind of fallen, I suppose, after what's happened in the last 8 months?
In fact, we are extremely happy because of the cost cutting, what you have done, about 1.5 percentage point, what you have done is going to stay in the business. Our EBITDAs have improved from 15.5% to 17.5%. And most of this have come because of the efficiency and because of the scale. And it is not that we are negotiated better with our vendors, or it's not that we cut on the margins of our retailers. No, it's purely on efficiency and productivity and higher scale what you have got. So answering your question, it's going to stay. And probably we'll spend a little more on advertising to get additional market share. We have gained the market share during the last 9 months from all the sectors which are representing, whether it's the fabric care or the home care or it's dishwash or mosquito repellent, we have got the market share. We continue to get that extra market share in the coming years also. A good thing to note is rural India, which is about 70% of the people are living there. Now that traction has come, positive traction, that their consumption levels are going up. I think that's one which I feel that should be the growth engine for Indian consumption sector.
We wanted to ask a little bit more about the rural sector. I know you've said it's a growth area and it's doing quite well, particularly your lower end products. But what about the government aid to placate those protesting farmers? Does that help boost demand even further in the rural space?
That's a small space in the northern India. The farmer protest is happening, and 2-3 states, which is what the problem is. And to that extent, yes, supplies have disturbed, but it's a small percentage, but it is made up elsewhere. But the demand, like in any democracy, people have the right to protest. They're doing it. And I'm sure the government will find a solution. Tomorrow, 2 o'clock is that meeting, and hopefully something positive should come out of that. But consumption level, like it has nothing to do with that. Yes, as an economy, as a democracy, we are worried when the people are in the cold. They're protesting, to change the law, what government has brought in. So we're just waiting and watching what the outcome going to be.